Hey everyone, welcome to SigNoz Launch Week. And today we have a very exciting feature to showcase with you. And we have Rahul from the engineering team to share the demo. He has worked very hard to get this feature out, and would love to chat with him on what he has built and what are the thought process building this. So welcome Rahul. Thanks for joining in. Maybe we can start with a quick intro to our viewers on what to do at SigNoz, where have you worked before? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Pran. So, hello everyone. I am Rahul Keswani. So, I have recently joined SigNoz and I am currently working as a front-end developer here. Moreover, I'm in the engineering team. And before this, I was working with Red Hat. Moreover, again the same role. And I used to like deal with the UI part of the you can say Red Hat. Coming back to the SigNoz, like now, like I have recently, as I said, I have recently joined. So I got a good amount of uh, challenges here to bring out something new or like to create some new features so that like user can take the benefit. So yeah, that's it about me.
Cool. Cool. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that. And yeah, I think one thing which we have been working on. So one of the features we have in Signal is that we have all the key three signals metrics traces log in a single application, and that is sort of what distinguishes Signals from many other observability tool out there. And one of the core things which you can enable through that is to correlate across different signals, right?
Yeah,
That okay, like you can go from metrics to traces, you can go from logs to traces, and essentially what it does is it helps people solve issues whenever they're occurring very fast, right? For example, you can go from, hey, like this metric is high, let's try to understand why this is high. You can jump directly to logs and then see what are the issues in the logs, and then maybe look into the infra metrics at the same time, that hey, like what was the pod doing at that time, and was the error in the logs because of that. So these are all the use cases, I think, uh, which is what we have been working on in this feature, and Rahul would be showcasing you some of those. And essentially the goal of this is to enable meantime, like resolve issues much faster, right? And just save developer time and developer help developers become more productive. So Rahul, why don't you talk about like what were the core reasons why you started building this, uh, and what are the first few features which we have built around this?
yeah, sure, Pranay. So basically, as Pranay mentioned, we have the three main pillars and which makes Signos a totally different product. And this traces logs and metrics. But what if like at some point someone wants to correlate because that is very important because to jump over and see all these three things in a single product, that is something like which brings up here. So that's the main thing. Obviously, Signos is trying to solve. But coming back to the agenda, like why we even build this particular correlation feature, I got an like basically I can say like something whenever someone wants or someone is running an application or service on Kubernetes. So that person is obviously interested in the metrics, like what went wrong, what happened, whether my pod restarted, or like what happened with my service, or like whether the service crashed, or like there was any memory leak issue. All such things are very important when you are running your application or service on Kubernetes. So that's the main reason. Like we brought up this particular feature where you can correlate your logs with particularly inframetrics. So you can see what went good or like what was the allocated CPU resource and what was the memory allocated, what was the limit, how much we are hitting, or whether I should, as a person, I should improve that. All such things are very important when someone is trying to debug the inframetrics or like someone is trying to debug the application or service which is running on Kubernetes. So that's the main agenda. We have brought up this particular feature, and it's very kind of, you can say, kind of again the best part for the developers. So anyone can come up and then look up the metrics part so that like he or she can get an idea what we are basically doing, like what I have to figure it out, like what I have to improve. Should I allocate like four CPUs or should I just increase the memory? All such things are visible because of this feature.
Yeah, I think that sounds pretty interesting. And one other piece I think we have been working on is going from APM metrics to the logs pieces there. I think today we have APM, like from you can go from latency charts to traces, and I think one of the other things which you'll be showing will be around going from APM latency charts to say how do you can go to application logs directly, right?
Yeah,
So
that is one more thing.
yeah, so yeah, maybe you can just start with the demos. Will give users much and our viewers much better idea on what we are talking about here, and then maybe you can chat more on it. So yeah, I'll just let you start sharing what you have been building so far.
Okay, sure. So
Yeah, go ahead, Rahul. You can start.
yeah, sure. So let me just start from this point. Now you can see our logs page. And as usual, you can select like whatever time period you want to see your logs. Like this might have emitted by number of your services that you are running. And let's say like I have selected for last 6 hours, and I want to see like currently what is the state of my application which is running on Kubernetes, or the service which is running on Kubernetes, that is emitting a log, right? And as a person, I want to check like, or as a developer, I want to check like what this particular log line show me, or like what this particular emitted log show me about the infra metrics. So you can see here, once I will come up on this particular log, I can see there are two sections, pods and nodes. So let's discuss this one by one. Let's focus on the pod first. So pod is nothing but a smallest unit as we know in Kubernetes. So basically it has its own one or more containers. It depends again. So now we can see here like how CPU usage is going on with this particular pods, how memory usage is going on. More interesting like part is here, like let's say I want to debug it. Like I have some limit, you can see here, some limit for CPU usage, and then how my pattern is going, or like how I'm using it, how I'm requesting this particular resource, I would say. That is one more important thing. So you can see here this vertical dotted line. This is just a fixed line to show you like this is your log timestamp or log line timestamp on which you clicked. And this will show you the data before 3 hours and after 3 hours. So obviously at this point we are at the current time. So you can see here, we can see the data, like what might have happened, how request is going on for CPU resource, and what is the limit as well. So all this is visible. Same is true for your memory, and like how you are allocating memory resource to your pod, and what is the limit you have allocated. All such things are visible here. Now
So
let's take a, yeah.
Rahul, just a quick question here. So
Mhm.
when you say in this graph of pod CPU users percent of limit, how do I know what is the limit which was allocated for this pod?
Okay, see, as a person, like whenever I will be writing this YAML file, I will give a pod, like whenever I will be writing this pod.yaml, I will write all the details in that. So what was the requested resource, or how much limit I have allocated. All such things will be available in that. And then based on that, like someone wants to see like either I have hit to the peak or not. So right now I can see here, moreover, my limit was around something like this, majorly 6%. But here I
Okay.
can see I'm moreover going beyond that at some point. So all such things are given here. So one can compare like at some point I was having the maximum limit of 6%.
Mhm.
This was the limit, but someone got to 12%. So that's not looking good. And then we can again go on and try various things. We can change this particular resource limit, or like we can work around that.
Got it. So basically, you can compare, and potentially this could have led to errors in the logs. Is that the case? Right.
Yeah, correct.
Got it. Yeah. Continue.
Yeah, sure. So same is the case. So for example, let's assume like a classic example of memory. That would be great. So let's say my application has been allocated some memory around like you can see here, or like on this particular graph, I can see here. So I have been allocated some memory, and this is what is the usage, how like far I'm hitting this particular graph, or like what is the major usage of this particular memory at some point that is visible here. So for example, let's say I allocated 1 GB of memory resource, or around like uh, to a particular pod, and let's say some pod is going beyond that. So what Kubernetes will do actually, like it will basically restart your pod, or like it will basically kill your pod or the service instance, and again everything will start from scratch. So as a particular developer or as a person, I don't want that. and I want to know like whenever my services or instances are restarting, I should know like what might have got wrong. So all such things are very much useful here. So what might have happened, like let's say if I have allocated 1 GB of RAM and then it got to more than that, 2 GB or 3 GB, then that is the limit. Like that means like my pod is taking more than the allocated limit, you can say. And then at that moment, I can increase the memory limit. Same is the use of your CPU limit as well.
Got it. So very quickly, for example, if there are logs which are saying errors, it may be that they are being caused because of the infra, like the infra is under resource pressure, and that will be immediately visible here, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
correct.
so I think from going from logs to seeing what was the state of the infrastructure and then being able to sort of do stuff to resolve that will be very easy, is what I
Yeah,
understand. Got
yeah,
it.
correct. Also, like I have two more things to
Yeah,
say. So, like one is the file system usage. So it's obvious whenever someone is working on Kubernetes. And then this pod network IO. So how your pod is behaving to the outside world, what is the incoming, outgoing calls, all this is very important. So we can see that thing as well. So this too is something very important, like how pods are communicating to the external world, you can say, or other pods, like that is also very important. So we can see like what is the file system usage or like what is the network calls going on. So all these things can again be taken care or like can be again used to make it more efficient so that like my things are working perfectly fine.
got it.
Yeah. So that's about the pod. And let me switch over to node as well. As I said, so obviously we know every node is like kind of it can be your like running on Kubernetes. Again, node is very common thing. So here you can see node can have multiple again you can say pods, and then this particular node is telling like what is the total CPU usage or memory usage. Okay, so based on your pod, it might also happen sometimes we don't give the limits. It happens like I have my pod CPU usage, like I have like requested the resources to the Kubernetes, but I don't have the limit set or I have not set it my limit at that moment. What will happen? Like it will take the entire limit, whatever your node is providing.
Got it.
So, and someone wants to debug that as well. So we have our node details as well or node metrics as well. So one can take the interest and see like whether it has gone beyond a point where I should think of assigning some limit to a pod. Yeah,
Got it. And this dotted vertical line here is the current timestamp, right? This
yeah,
is the
correct.
same thing which is
So
across multiple
yeah,
charts.
yeah, correct. So on whatever log line you have clicked, so basically this is showing the log line timestamp. So on which you have clicked. So for example, let me go back. So I can see here I have various logs, but I clicked on the first one or let's say second one. So this 1710, this is like the exact timestamp we are showing. This
Okay,
one. So just to take a reference, like what might have happened before 3 hours, what might have gone wrong, or what might have been there in the end after 3 hours. That's what like we are showing.
got it. Yeah, I think this sounds pretty interesting. So even what happens if it's not a Kubernetes pod? So they will not have, like, is it auto detecting what are the resources underlying, and then you are showing the metrics, or this is as of now only for Kubernetes pods?
Okay, as of now, like moreover, like we pick the attributes, like we have some attributes in overview section, as we know in the logline. This is the already created feature. So the main advantage to us is like we always go on and check out like
Okay,
what is my cluster name, what is my container name, what is my deployment name, one of the most important thing, what is my namespace. Again in Kubernetes, like anyone can create multiple namespace. Again, this node name. So this node name is very important. Like when I go and check this node name, this is the same node that we are showing here. This one.
got it.
Same is true for pod as well. So all these attributes are helping us to show this inframetrics because all the details are there in our attributes and we are kind of using it because that log line, it might happen like that pod has emitted something or like that thing, that service has emitted this log. So let's go on and check out that pod.
Got it. No, my question was if it is not a Kubernetes setup, it is just a simple VM where you are running things, right? You be just be able to detect that this is a node and then just show the node metrics, or does it always need to be a Kubernetes pods?
No, it doesn't need to be like this. So again,
Okay.
it depends. Like if we don't have the attributes, like we will handle that using empty cases. And again, moreover, like we will add some more metrics here. This is just for we have started building the infra metrics. Sometimes, like at some moment, like we will be bringing something more here.
Mhm.
So the things will go according to that. But yes, if node name and pod name are not there, we basically go on and handle the empty state. We show like there is nothing for the informatics to go on and show. So basically, this is how like we are making sure like we are on the Kubernetes detail.
Got it. Cool. I think you also had some features around going from APM services to logs.
Yeah,
So do you want to show that now?
yeah, sure. Let me just do that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I think while Rahul sets this up, one of the things which we showed now is that, hey, like how you can go from logs to inframetrics, and more especially around nodes and pods in Kubernetes. What we'll be showing next is that, hey, like once you have services and you have RED metrics of that, today in SigNoz we primarily had only going from RED metrics to traces. What we will do now, what we have sort of enabled now, is also going from RED metrics to logs. And whenever Rahul is ready, we will be able to see that, hey, like how can that help people sort issues faster, right? Because when you are instrumenting your applications, you can either see your details in the traces, or you will be able to see the details. Like there may be some details which are not captured in the traces, but you're sending some log lines to capture that. And that is sort of the goal, to showcase that also in this next feature, right? So broadly where we are going is sort of bringing the correlation story much tighter to, so with these features now you can correlate from, say, going from um, services. So today also you can go from services to traces and then from traces to logs. Now with this feature which Rahul has just showcased us, we can now also go from logs to inframetrics, and then like the I think the next feature which Rahul has in mind is around going from services to logs. So is this set up, Rahul?
yeah, sure. It's done. So
Okay, yeah. So maybe
uh,
tell some, like the broad thought process on like what you are trying to show here, and then maybe get into the exact demo.
yeah, sure. So again, this feature is again very useful. So again, we are correlating here. Now, someone, let's say, before this also, like we have already done something for our traces. If I click on any graph at any given point of time, or if I just show you, like there was something called as view traces button. So basically this will navigate to a trace page. But what we thought, like obviously at some point we have to navigate the users from the service to the respected log pages as well, so that like one have all the things available in the filters and they can see like what that particular service has emitted, what logs has been emitted by that services, so that like the person can debug more or like can get an idea what has gone proper according to the logs, or like what he was looking, he will be able or she will be able to get that idea what we have implemented. So for example, let's say initially we had this view traces, and if I go here, you can see here, so service name is automatically picked up because we navigated from demo app service app. So you can see here, this service is shown here and respective traces and all other things are visible. You can add the, you can say filters. Same goes to logs as well. What if like someone wants to go from this particular service, front end or demo or anything, how I will navigate to logs? I have
Got it.
to go with the filters, and that is something very useful here.
Cool. Yeah, I think let's see how does it work.
Yeah, sure. So let's say like I'm interested in this particular spike at this particular time period. I will click here, and now you can see we have our traces again with us, but then we have introduced something for logs as well. So let's say someone is interested in watching this particular logs at that moment or at that time period. So two things are very important. We are propagating the time period, whatever you have selected, that particular spike, and why that there was a spike in the logs, or like what might have gone, like why there was a spike in that service. So all such things are there. You can see like in this 1 minute how many logs has been generated, and my service name was demo app. Someone has completed the request, someone is checking out the cart, and all such details are available. So this is something useful again to correlate your logs with your services.
Yeah, and then you can also see the details of the logs. Maybe there are some details in the logs on like what is the reason. Maybe now you can click one of the logs and see what is
Yeah,
the
sure.
yeah. So here I think the service's name is demo app. The time, as Rahul mentioned, is of the same time. So, for example, if the service is there where it is getting stuck in some loop, maybe you're printing some log statements there, so your latency is getting high, but you would be able to detect that through logs, right? So, logs is like just another signal which people can use to send more data and then be able to figure out that hey, like what's exactly going on, right? So yeah, I think this also is pretty interesting. I think anybody who's trying to debug latencies of applications and have spent a lot of time on it would find this very useful. Um, so what are the next items which you are working on, Rahul? So I think this is just the first step which you showed us, but what is the broader picture which you want to sort of paint
Okay.
in the coming
So
few months? Yeah,
yeah, sure. So basically, like as we can see, like this is just at the latency chart. So all other panels will also get the same view log button, and you can navigate to that according to the filters. So we will be providing that. So your DB call metrics, external metrics, and all other things will be having the same view. And now you can check like why there was a spike in that particular you can say service, what might have gone wrong, or what is the use. All such things will be available by this particular navigation, and we will show the view logs button there as well.
got
Apart
it.
from this, if I have to discuss about the infra metrics as well. So
Yeah,
yeah, in that actually, like as I said, like we will be bringing some more things. Like we will be starting, we will be starting with RED metrics. We will be showing that post metrics and then spans around that. Also, apart from this, like we will bring out that same feature of inframetrics to trace page as well, so that like one can also correlate from traces detail page if they want to see the inframetrics. And we will be having a dedicated stuff you can dedicated page for our inframetrics, so one can go on and check out everything there.
got it. Cool. Yeah, I think this sounds pretty interesting. So broadly, where we are going is one, as Rahul mentioned, we'll have a dedicated module for infra monitoring. Hopefully, we'll be able to demo this in the next launch week or maybe much before that. And the other key idea is correlating from all other signals. So today we have traces to logs, logs to metrics, but you don't have metrics to logs, right? So for example, when we have the infra metrics module, there will by default show the metrics will be the first thing which you'll see, but then from there you can, for example, go to logs of that particular Kubernetes pod, right? So those are the use cases which we'll be bringing up. So infra module will be one of the new additions which will be adding to the product, and from there we'll enable the story for hey, like can you go from inframetrics to the logs, you can go from inframetrics to services which are hosted on those containers or on those hosts, and then be able to go to traces from there. And also from traces, I think now we have both logs, but maybe there's also possibility of showing, as Rahul was mentioning, metrics along with this, right? So yeah, I think the broadly in the next 2-3 months we should be able to tie this whole story together and give a much more comprehensive view to the users. Um, and thanks Rahul for working on this product. We hopefully will have like a lot more things to show in the next launch week. Any specific things we want to chat with the viewers or like tell the viewers who are watching this show?
I think moreover, hope they like this feature and they try to use it. And if any suggestions, please like you can add your suggestions, and then we can work around that. That would be great.
Yeah, I think one of the things which you are always seeking is can we to get feedback on the product. How are you finding it? Is it solving the use cases you want. And I've shared the link of Slack community here. We are pretty active in the Slack community. So as you try the product, obviously it is like the first step. So if you see any bugs or any edge cases which are not handled well, please reach out to us, and surely we'll help solve that issues in the next iteration. So yeah, I think that's about it. Thanks, Rahul, for joining in and showcasing the features which you have worked on. And thanks, viewers, for watching through this. And if you have any feedback, as I mentioned, please share feedback on a Slack community or reach out to us over email. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.